Well, Prohormones before 2014, they weren't even Prohormones. They were just full-blown steroids. And the number one YouTuber, or I should say, I'm the only one talking about Prohormones, the number one video on YouTube, it says to steer clear. And get this, the leading prohormone manufacturer, High-Tech Pharmaceuticals, they like to put steroid names on boxes and bottles. And by the way, they're involved in like 100 cases every year, law cases. That's really all I can say. And seemingly they make no real effort to educate the confused consumer. So on the surface, no. Modern day prohormones really don't look too hot. But the 4,000 comments and the sentiment of them on this channel, as well as High-Tech Pharmaceuticals' massive amount of yearly sales, and the general public, as well as those who just want to gain muscles, curiosity, and the potential to even gain muscle with something beyond a test booster without having to stick a needle in their butt. Let's just say this has opened up the conversation again. Now you might be thinking to yourself, what a bunch of dummies talking about prohormones. And I get it. Why even look into a prohormone? They cause a lot of side effects. They can suppress you. They're not going to be near as beneficial as SARMs or steroids. Why even bother? But what if we instead decided to cast that judgment aside and say, objectively, what is a prohormone? And actually want to find out, just out of pure curiosity, because you never know. This could be the difference between where you are now and overcoming your next plateau. But you could be the judge of that.
You are now in the presence of a...
My name is Travis Dillard, and some people have actually referred to me as the Prohormone Whisperer, which, I don't know, it sounds a little hokey to me. Others call my channel a complete prohormone encyclopedia, but it doesn't matter what you call it, or me for that matter. I'm simply here because of my 17 years experience, my countless hours into research about prohormones, your testimonials, and the science, not to convince you, but to educate you. The benefits, the side effects, who prohormones are for, and who they're not for. And by the end, you will walk away with an understanding and the answer to the question, are modern day prohormones really worth it or not? Let's get it. So what are modern day prohormones? So every single modern day prohormone that we run into is going to have one of 5 prohormones. Could even have 2 or 3, maybe even 4, but no more than that. And they are 1-andro, 4-andro, 1,4-andro, epi-andro, 17-beta, and 19-nor. And each of these are precursors, not precursors to steroids, but precursors to anabolics that look a little bit like them. And each of these prohormones in different bottles, they might have different esters, which means they have a different half-life, which means they slowly absorb or fast absorb it, depending on whether it's a propionate, acetate, or all the way to undecanate. And testosterone in this case is in fact going to go up. It's just a matter of how much. Will it get to that 1,200 nanograms per deciliter, that maximum threshold? It probably won't exceed it because your body sees it as endogenous, even though, it is technically exogenous. And prohormones, believe it or not, actually do have quite a few benefits. And we're not here to overhype. We're here to be real. So 4 to 6 pounds is what you can probably expect on an 8-week cycle. That's of lean muscle gain, and 4 being when you're cutting, maybe even 3 or 2, but hey, we're still retaining muscle. 6, 7, 8, if we're bulking. But because our testosterone is going up, we do know that it's going to come with a series of benefits. Those being that your aggression is going to go up, your sex drive is going to go up, your muscle gain is going to go up, you're going to feel like you have a lot more energy. You're going to feel more vascular. Your muscle density is going to go up. There are a lot of benefits to this, but because it is actually still messing, even though it's not a steroid, with our HPTA axis, our testosterone estrogen, the levels, it might affect us, and it certainly is going to have some side effects, which we'll cover later on. But for now, let's talk about who prohormones are actually for. So on this channel specifically, we've seen doctors, lawyers, nurses, songwriters, rap artists, country music stars. We've seen pretty much everybody, all walks of life, are currently taking prohormones. Now, I'm not saying all of them were ready, but what are the defining factors that make you ready? Now, the first type of person who's a good fit for prohormones, probably the most attracted to them as well, are going to be people who have a ton of years under their belt, weightlifting wise. So that's 5 to 10 years and beyond. They've got everything locked in. They've got their nutrition, their exercise, they're getting good sleep, they're getting good hydration, and they're just looking to take it up a notch. And this is a great way to do that. The second type of person is going to be someone who's talked to their doctor, who's probably told them they have low T and that they need to at least look into TRT, but you might not want to go down that road yet and commit for life. So you want to get your feet wet first just to check out the waters. And to you, my dude, I also agree with this. I wish that I had this back in the day. Now, the third type of person is going to be someone, this is like only like 10% of our audience, because we took a poll recently and found that only 10% of the audience is on TRT. and taking prohormones. And this is probably the best case scenario because TRT allows our testosterone levels to stay stagnant. Well, if we're not on TRT, our prohormone is going to come into the body and increase our testosterone. And then when we get off 8 weeks later, it's going to decrease and we're going to feel like poop down here. Well, if we're on TRT, we don't have to worry about this crash. So we don't have to worry about a PCT either. Now, we can also find some other circumstances of people that they're for, but for all those people they're for, there's just as many they're not for. So let's talk about it. So here's 4 circumstances where you should, in fact, avoid prohormones. And let's slow it down just a little bit. Circumstance number 1. If you're looking to compete in bodybuilding, then you might want to try something a little bit stronger. Circumstance number 2. So if you're watching this video right now and you're 18 years old or you're in your teens, even if you've been lifting for 5 years, your hormones will forever be changed once you take one cycle of prohormones. The chemistry in your body is unbalanced. Your HPTA axis is unbalanced. And if your brain isn't fully developed, which, let's be honest, it's not us males, it takes about 26 years for us to do that, we're asking for it. We're asking for side effects. Anxiety can come out of nowhere that can literally be imprinted in your brain. So it's really not worth it. And the reason I tell you this is because I am just really glad that I waited. Circumstance number 3. Regardless of what Best Price Nutrition says.
So the Decadurabolin, like Decabolin, is one that females are going to be able to take as well?
Yeah. That was the other one.
So I get this question quite a bit. Can girls take prohormones? My short answer is probably I wouldn't recommend it. And the big reason is because when their hormones fluctuate, it's different. They fluctuate in the same way, but we have to remember that their testosterone levels are a lot lower. And so when we jack them up with prohormones, which is going to be a magnitude far greater than men in terms of the difference or the variance, it's going to create insanity in their body. So this is one of those rare cases. And you certainly did not hear this from me on this channel, but because the side effects are going to be a little stronger for them, we might as well, in this case, just go with the full-blown one that we know doesn't cause side effects. And that would be the real Anavar. By the way, that wasn't a formal recommendation on the use of any steroids, including the real Anavar. I'm not a doctor. This is for educational purposes only. And circumstance number 4. And they're certainly not meant for anybody whose doctor has told them that they're either overweight or obese. We'll call it 30% body fat or higher. We need to get to about 20% in order to start taking a prohormone cycle. And the number one reason is because the more fat we have, the more testosterone will aromatize into estrogen. Therefore, we're going to have more estrogenic side effects when we're taking a prohormone like a 4-andro. But if you're struggling right now to get to 20%, let me tell you right now, my brother, we've all been struggling. Just keep going. You got this. And here's a bonus one for you. Circumstance number 5. If fitness is just a thing that you do and it's seasonal and you only use it to lose a few pounds here and there, maybe to cut up for the summer, and that's pretty much it, well, prohormones are probably not for you, my dude. And the big reason is because you're probably not going to be able to keep the gains anyway. Because the reality is that even those who are committed to this lifestyle still struggle sometimes to maintain those gains in between cycles. But don't you worry, my dudes, I've got the answer right here. And staying natural is not so bad, especially if you're just waiting on time to get those numbers up in terms of age, or maybe you're trying to get healthier. Either way, Newton's third law still applies. Every benefit has an equal and opposite side effect. That is definitely not Newton's third law, but it's close enough. So the side effects of prohormones, what are they? So the prohormone epiandro, or if we're talking about a product, dimethazine, and not the real dimethazine. This is high-tech pharmaceuticals. This is a precursor. This is a prohormone, not the real stuff. It does convert in the body to DHT, which just binds to hair follicles. But if you do have a predisposition to hair loss in your family, well, the hair follicles might get shorter and thinner until they just stop producing altogether. Tiredness, it might happen because our hormones are going to be imbalanced. It's just part of it when our testosterone goes up and our estrogen goes up and there's any variation at all. And because prohormones increase our metabolic rate, which is going to increase the number of calories needed, which is going to increase our energy output if we're not eating more, well, we might feel a little tired. And appetite suppression, which can happen any time that we're taking androgens of any kind. Anxiety, which this can also happen when our hormones are fluctuating. It can also happen too because of the two-step conversion process from precursor or prohormone to full-blown anabolic compound. But anxiety is obviously going to differ from person to person. If we were to go look at the Anavar video specifically and not the real Anavar, high-tech pharmaceuticals Anavar, you'd see that anxiety, there's different levels of it all over the place. Some people, it's so extreme they have to quit. Other people, not only do they not have anxiety, it rids them of it entirely. But obviously you're going to have to suss that one out yourself. And now the big one, suppression. Now, prohormones are going to lead to some level of suppression. The body sees it as an exogenous source, not endogenous like a test booster. Therefore, your pituitary gland, when you're on a prohormone, will stop producing or stop telling your balls to produce natural testosterone because you're already getting it from an outside source. Therefore, when you stop, your balls are still not going to be producing and the exogenous source is going to stop. So you will lead to some level of suppression. Now, because our testosterone is not going above 1200 nanograms per deciliter or that reference range, we're not going to have to worry about a suppression as much when compared to steroids. But you will still need a PCT. And if you don't know what that is, go above. So with everything we just said in mind, are prohormones really worth it? So overall, are prohormones the greatest for us? No. Do they lead to the benefits that the real gear does? Also no. Can we even truly trust, the leading prohormone provider, high-tech pharmaceuticals? Well, I know for a fact they make good products, and I'll tell you why here in a second, but can we really trust them? Well, I'm a little bit skeptical because they sue the pants off of just about anybody who breathes the wrong way. So, I can act all tough and mighty and hard up here, but at the end of the day, deep down, I'm absolutely terrified.
You thinking of drawing on me?
However, with countless blood panels found at the bottom of these videos into the comments section, as well as the third-party testing, which I personally have gone to the labs and verified. I didn't actually go, but I contacted them and verified using the ID numbers, and most importantly, the first-party testing that took place by Total Nutrition here in Houston. I can unequivocally say that, yeah, high-tech pharmaceuticals might partake into some shady business. I don't know exactly, and I can't be for certain, but their products, let's just say they pay their chemists well. They're good. They've been verified. The efficacy is high. So are prohormones worth it? Yeah, there's a place for it. Now, whether they're for you or not, well, that's for you to decide, my dude. Thanks for nerding out with us today. Until next week, stay safe and stay swole, my brothers.